Hey, it's Helder here, and today I will be talking a little bit about kettlebells and their effect on running or using them in conjunction with your running program. Why I prefer this as my conditioning method and how it's helped me as well as other clients of mine achieve their goals of running half marathons, even 10Ks, marathons, triathlons, things like that, because of their concentrated effort on their kettlebell training. Before I go any further, this is also Bruno. Bruno is the newest member of our tribe at Natural Training Center, and he is also a rescue and just a dream of a dog. All right, so I just wanted to introduce him. So now, going back, one of the emphases plural, right? The emphasis that I'm putting on this is a lot to do with minimalist running, or minimalist runners. Not that this doesn't apply to anybody, but it seems that when I deal with the minimalist running community, we're always looking for a better way. You know, we're not so much set in our ways, not so much set in what the marketing companies tell us about these great shoes and biomechanics and everything else. So a lot of times they're more prone, or we are more prone to change, or at least experiment. And that's why I like making my tutorials kind of directed towards minimalist running. It just seems to be a better fit. But once again, if you're not a minimalist runner, this will affect you as much as it will a minimalist runner in a positive light. Okay, so why kettlebell training? Basically, with myself, starting out with my experience and leaving things out on injuries and things like that, always wanted to run a marathon. Something that I always had in my mind, but the problem that I had, and many people have, and I hear this over and over now, is that they don't have enough time. I mean, who has, you know, especially once you get into the deeper training levels where you have to run, you know, 4 hours a day, sometimes a couple times a week, people just don't have time for that unless this is your job. Unless you have extreme freedom in your career, it's going to be really hard to accomplish that task. So we had to come up with other ways. Okay, how can we make this happen? How can we still be able to run a marathon, and not only run a marathon, but complete the marathon, complete it with still energy in your gas tank, and at the same time be able to function the next day. Not run a marathon and stay in bed for a month and then brag to everybody on how you just ran a marathon. Why use kettlebells for training, whether it's a marathon, whether it's any kind of a distance run, a new personal best for yourself. One of the things is time constraints. A lot of people do not have those 3-4 hours of extra time to run on a long run, or even the summation of a bunch of small runs that you got to put together during a week, where you might have to be out there for a couple hours. And once again, after a full day of work and everything else that life throws at us, it's going to be kind of difficult to find that time. With kettlebell training and working on your VO2 or your cardio, you'll do it in so much more beneficial that you will get from your kettlebell training, from proper kettlebell training, the proper protocols, okay, not just grab a kettlebell and start doing whatever you do with a kettlebell. All right, there is a method to the madness. It's not just a matter of I have a kettlebell and okay, I'm going to use this and now I'm going to run a marathon. It doesn't quite work like that. The other benefits of the kettlebell is that it's always seeming to mimic what we need to perform as good runners. And especially when we're going for distance. The biomechanics, the fact that we're doing stuff in minimalist wear and most of the time barefoot when we can. This keeps you grounded. These are very similar patterns that you're going to incur when you are out there running your long distance runs. So that correlation is unbelievable, you know, as far as really hammering in, really greasing the groove when it comes to those biomechanics. So that's another reason why I feel that kettlebells are superior when it comes to this type of training. Okay, now before I go any further, I also want you to keep in mind that we are not training to win the race. We are training to finish the race, be competitive within ourselves. Okay, if you're trying to be competitive as far as one of these top dogs or whatever, this training is a lot different. Okay, you can still use similar stuff, but at the same time, there's a lot more in detail. Okay, so I'm catering to the general population, like myself and like my clients, that hey, we want to go out there and run a marathon, and we just want to complete it safely, feel very comfortable about it, get our little medal, have our memories, and say yes, we okay. And at the same time, since most of us are weekend warriors, we need to find other methods and methods that accommodate our lifestyle so that we can achieve these goals and not use our shortcomings of not having proper training as the excuse for the shortcoming of not competing or entering an event that you know would be a life changer for you, whether it's a confidence level, whether it's just a goal that you've always had, case may be. The thing that I want to point out about kettlebell training is, once again, the corrective exercise about it. So once again, you're not just out there just jarring up the body, messing up your joints, especially if you're not doing any kind of joint mobility and yoga corrective work, which of course is a huge part of our components when it comes to training with Natural Training Center, and things that I run my clients through. You need to correct everything that's going on. Now, once again, the kettlebell is an incredible corrective exercise tool. We use them all the time with just people coming off of surgery. And the physical therapist is getting them from broken to standing. Okay, well now who's going to get them from standing to functional and back into their everyday life, whether it's an active athletic lifestyle or whether it's just managing pain while sitting in a chair at the office. All of this stuff, kettlebells will help you with. I can't get into too much detail, but once again, another great point for utilizing kettlebells as far as your training, because you're correcting. Okay, and we have a small window in a short amount of time to be effective. Don't we want to use as many tools as possible in that short period of time that will affect our outcome and will affect our performance? Technically we're a little lazy inside. So I want the most amount of impact for that 30-minute workout or 40-minute workout or an hour. I want to get as much as possible. If I committed to devoting that time, then I want maximum benefit. And once again, corrective work, super important, because why not get healthier as you're training for something, as opposed to just destroying the body and then saying, okay, I'll take a few months off and let it heal. That's not what we're meant to do. That shouldn't be the purpose of your fitness level. If that's the case, you're not training properly, and it's just going to lead to injuries or worse. So we want to change our body composition as we're running also, right? People want to lose weight, they want to tighten up, they want to gain some muscle. Okay, so we have all of those components that we want to work with. Well, running isn't really the best activity to make all of that change happen. Okay, we need some kind of resistance training in there. We need to alternate your maximum heart rate and the training rates that you're training in. Okay, whether it's trying to get as close to possible as maximum heart rate, or whether it's working down to your rest heart rate. Here's another great benefit. You want to gain some muscle, you want to trim down that gut, you want to tighten the glutes. All of this stuff will be better introduced into your physiology by utilizing the kettlebell drills as opposed to just running. Okay, so once again, another great benefit of using kettlebells as your training protocol for running distance. So one of the things we stress a lot at Natural Training Center is to be prepared, okay, which happens to be the motto of the Boy Scouts, something that I've had near and dear to my heart, since being a child and growing up, and still do. And being prepared, okay, so we want to be prepared for anything. We want to be able to have our core activation when we need it. We want to be able to pack down shoulders. We want to have great alignment, and leading from the crown, of your head and all that other stuff. Once again, you're really not going to get that engraved in you through just running protocols as much as you would if you are utilizing kettlebells, because those are constant feedback points that are drilled into you while you're training with kettlebells that convey into real life, and of course convey seamlessly into running, okay, because it's all about our alignment when it comes to form. It's all about our midfoot drive. It's all about not landing on the toes or not heel striking. So all of this stuff is once again addressed in your basic kettlebell form. So right from the start, this isn't advanced stuff. This is the basics of kettlebells that'll get you where we want to be. That's what I want you to think of. Don't worry about doing all these crazy jugglings and snatches and all this other stuff. I'm basically just talking about the basic kettlebell swing that'll get you to where you need to be, with all of the stuff that I've been speaking about in this video tutorial. Another issue that we face when training, especially long distances, is everybody wants a buddy to train with. They want a partner, especially when we're going with these long distances. It gets boring. At the same time, there's always an excuse to not go out there, especially when it's those 2, 3, 4 hour runs. And you want that buddy. Well, as many of us know, that buddy isn't always there, and sometimes we're the buddy that's not there for the other running partner. Okay, so one thing that the kettlebell drills will take out of that is it's a solo exercise. So you could not only train anywhere and at any time, regardless of the weather conditions. You're going to go in there and get your cardio in or your VO2 max. But at the same time, you don't need that buddy. You don't have to rely on anybody else. So that excuse gets taken out. Because most of the time, if the partner has an excuse, you're going to jump on that excuse with them, and guess what? No work gets done, and you're no closer to your goal. So train with kettlebells, you only have to worry about yourself. The injuries for kettlebells when done safely, okay, and that's embedded right from the beginning, is very little chance for injury to occur, especially when compared to running. Okay, there's a lot less factors. You're in one little area. It's just you. As long as you got the techniques down safely, you'll be injury-free, okay, and pain-free. Once again, yes, that is my opinion, and there is that factor of, yes, you better do everything correctly, or of course there's going to be injury. I mean, you don't need to be a genius. You know, you don't need to be a doctor. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out. You know, it's kind of elementary. You know, it's just like, well, if I do that, I'm probably going to get hurt, right? Because I'm putting myself in an awkward situation. So let's try to avoid those awkward situations and train smart and train effectively, not train just for the sake of training so that you could update your status update on Facebook. All right, so keep that in mind. Now, the last thought I want to leave you with is, you'll read out there how people just with kettlebell training and everything like that, they were able to finish marathons or whatever. Yes, I hear that. And I've read that, and I'm sure it's been done. You know, I'm sure it's been done more than once, you know, or more than 20 times. But what I never end up reading at the end is, okay, what was the cost of that? Were there injuries? Were you in bed for the next week or 2 weeks? Were you able to perform whatever your duties were? If you're some kind of military operator or police officer operator or anything like that, were you able to do your job effectively if you had to be put in danger and save somebody's life? Okay? So that's always what we're looking at. We're looking at the next day. Are we able to use our training to benefit our lifestyle as opposed to make it more detrimental to us? Okay, so keeping that in mind, we still have to run. We have to put our body both mentally and physically, okay, through the distance so that we feel it, so that we know it, so that the body knows what to do when it's in those situations, whether it's at mile 3 or mile 15, okay, depending on what you're training for. We have to put the distance in, okay? So every time I design a kettlebell program for runners, that will be a major issue. Yes, you are going to run. It's not just a matter of, guess what, I'm just doing kettlebells and my cardio is there. Yeah, great, but your ligaments got to get ready for it. Mentally, you have to do the work and cover that distance, okay? So what I'm trying to do with the kettlebell program is, instead of making that the 5-day-a-week thing, as far as running and going out there and putting your miles, maybe we could bring that down to 2 days, 3 days, 1 day, okay? Depending on, once again, the level that you're training in at and how much work you're putting in and how much you're really following the program and correcting every day. Okay, it's not just about kettlebells. There's stuff we have to do before, there's stuff that we have to do after. And when it comes to the specific running, we got to put that distance in. If you do not put that distance in, you could be in incredible shape, cardio-wise and everything else, but you're going to have your brain that's going to sit there and say, you know what, I haven't been here before. Okay, and then that's when form starts going, that's when all sorts of psychological things starts going, chemicals start getting dumped into the body starts acting all awkward, and that's when, once again, injury occurs. Or you get to a certain point where you're going to quit, you know, and now you got to face yourself the next day and say, man, why didn't I prepare myself for this? Or why didn't I prepare better? All right, so let's be smart, okay? Nobody's out there to be a hero. The only person you got to prove something to is yourself, okay? So you really got to enjoy this stuff. And I love running, okay? But I also like achieving and testing myself out with these long distances. But I'm not a fan of taking up my Saturday with a 4-hour run. You know, I'd rather have a 30-minute kettlebell workout and enjoy the rest of the day doing whatever I want to do physically, you know, as opposed to saying, okay, time to go do this, and then I need my rest time, and that takes up a lot of time, whether it's family, whether it's taking away from family, whether it's taking away from career, okay? So keep that in mind. This all works on a whole. You can't just take the pieces that you like and integrate them into your program, okay? You have to do the whole thing. It's a whole piece. One thing feeds off the other, all right? So hope this helped out a little bit for those of you that are on the fence and wanting to achieve some of these races and enter some of these mutter events and all this other great stuff that's happening out there, or even, you know, triathlons or whatever. So get out there and test yourself, but be prepared. Okay, that's all I say. Be prepared, and then you're going to have a wonderful experience, you know, instead of being a statistic. All right? Once again, Helder, Natural Training Center, thank you for your time. Good luck. Keep running.